All right, so we all would have just read Jack and the Beanstalk together, and now it's time for us to talk about what the six elements of the story were. Okay, maybe you wrote a list down by yourself, maybe you got stuck on a few, maybe you didn't get any. That's totally okay because we're going to go over it right now. Okay, and then once we're able to find six elements of a fairy tale, I believe that we are going to be more confident when we go to write them ourselves. So let's start with the who. Who do you think the who was in the story? You can pause the video if you want some more time to think about it, or you can just call out the answer. I would say the who was Jack, of course. So there were other characters in the book. We had the giant, we had his mom, we had the little old lady. There were a bunch of other people, but the main character in the story was Jack. What did Jack do? There are a bunch of different things you could say for this, okay? And I bet they would all be right. But what do you think is one of the most important parts of this story? Are you ready? Let me show you what I think. I said that Jack stole gold coins from a giant because after he did that was when everything started to go downhill, right? The giant started to go after him. So he did a lot of things in the story, and if you had something different, that's completely fine. This is just one of the main events that happened was that Jack stole the gold coins from a giant. Let's talk about the when. Actually, let's do the where first because I did the where first because the where, of course, is at the top of the beanstalk that grew from magic beans. And I chose to talk about this next because that could have also been part of your what, but I chose to save it for the where. Okay? But if you put it in both the where and the what, that's completely fine too. But of course, anyways, we know that this took place at the top of the beanstalk. Before we get to the when, do you know what the why might be? Why did Jack do all of the things that he did? I said that Jack did everything that he did. It was because he was hungry, right? He wouldn't have had to go sell his cow. He wouldn't have gotten the magic beans. He wouldn't have stole the gold coins. He did all of this because he was really hungry. Now, I saved the when for last because the when wasn't super clear. So if you didn't get the when, that's completely okay. The when was a little bit confusing, but I said the when was at night while the giant was asleep. That was when Jack stole the gold coins from the giant. Sometimes fairy tales will come right out and tell you when a story takes place, sometimes they won't. Okay? But as a writer, you in your head at least need to know the when. And last but not least, now we're going to talk about the central message. What is one of the most important things you learn from reading this book? I came up with two. I couldn't decide between two. So, my first one I said was listen to your mother. If Jack had just sold the magic bean, sold Daisy the cow for money right off the bat, he would have never gotten the magic beans and would have never almost gotten killed by the giant. But I came up with another message because even though he did that, he still had a happily ever after ending, right? He still lived happily ever after. So I also said make the best of a bad situation. So even though Jack was put in a bad situation that was dangerous and he almost died from the giant, he made the best of it, right? He made the friends. He brought the little old lady down with him and the goose and the harp, and He had the gold coins, and the giant was flown far away and never to be heard from again. Okay? So, the central message or the lesson that you learn in a fairy tale might be different. I just had two. You might have had a completely different one. That is okay too. Okay? Don't worry if you did not have all six of these elements. That's completely fine. Okay? This was just practice. So when it comes time for us to be able to write our own fairy tales, we will have a great head start. Okay? Nice job, everyone.